Man, what in the I was born ready is going on? Now they're saying Canelo Alvarez versus Callum Smith at 168 is for the WBC title. I got some questions. Canelo Alvarez, Callum Smith now fighting for the WBC title. Stay tuned to this video. You'll hear the questions. Smash the like button and subscribe. I'll be back. Yo, what up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to my channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang, notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, the Cash App, and the Patreon family. We working. Cash App is $. Boxingego. Appreciate you guys for the support. Before I get started, click on my link in the description to get ESPN Plus. ESPN Plus, they offer a ton of original content, docu-series, documentaries, archive past fights and footage like Teofimo and Loma. Also Mayweather Pacquiao, if you want to revisit those fights. ESPN Plus as a standalone app, it's $5.99, or you can get the bundle, ESPN Plus, Hulu, and Disney Plus. They have the new season of Mandalorian coming up on Disney Plus. They announced a lot of shows like Loki, Thor's brother, and more. So if you want to get that bundle, click on the link, and support does help the channel continue to grow. Now let's get into it. I got a question. I got some questions in boxing. So it was just announced that Canelo, who's training for his upcoming fight with Callum Smith in Texas, one of the only states that is allowing fights, during this pandemic. And, we knew the fight was going on. Canelo announced it in his team. They were the first to break it. Canelo just split from his former promoter, Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy. And this is the next order of business coming up this month, right? No biggie. But now the WBC has come out and they have shown you, and I prepared something for you guys, that the next fight with Canelo and Smith is for a WBC belt. So take a look at this and I'll be back. So there you guys have it. It looks like Callum Smith, it was just announced, Canelo Alvarez Texas fight they're fighting for the 168-pound WBC belt. Now, let me break this down. This is the belt that was last held by David Benavidez, who is a terrific young fighter. David Benavidez lost his belt the first time because he tested positive for something that was banned, cocaine. Even though that's not necessarily a performance-enhancing drug, it's definitely banned, and it's definitely a drug. So he repented for that, got back on track, and then when this pandemic struck, right, David Benavidez again lost his belt because he couldn't make weight. He missed weight by some odd pounds, and as a result, even though he whooped his opponent, Angulo, he wasn't eligible to win that belt again because he missed weight. And, I'm not making excuses. Making your weight, that's your own, like, you got to do it. It's just, you got to be professional and make the weight you signed up for it. But that was one of the first fights Showtime did with the pandemic. they didn't have facilities or like a portable sauna in the bubble for him to use to try to shed those extra pounds. So, you know, it made it harder for him to try to lose the weight. They're in the bubble, you know what I mean? So there's only select equipment available to him and stuff like that. So David Benavidez lost his belt. This is why I have questions about this whole announcement, you know, and you guys can see it's confirmed. This is WBC's own website. It says Canelo Smith, the WBC title is on the line. You guys should see that on screen for the Smith fight, right? Famous green and gold strap added to the Ring magazine and WBA belts. So now they're making this Canelo fight, that Callum Smith, that no one really asked for, and they're making it for basically 3 belts. In addition, the bad news is this for boxing fans. A lot of people thought Canelo was going to fight against a guy like Caleb Plant. It says right here, smash the like button. Both men have won WBC belts before, with Canelo winning at super middleweight or super welterweight and middleweight, and Smith landing the WBC diamond belt from the World Boxing Super Series, right? And it says the winner of this fight, this is important, will have to face the number 2 ranked Avni Yildrim within 90 days. I repeat, this is not a test. Canelo Alvarez versus Callum Smith, winner of December 19th fight, will be ordered to face the number 2 WBC ranked Avni Yildrim within 90 days. So what does this mean? And it says WBC is extremely proud to have such a tremendous fight for the vacant belt, said Mauricio Suleiman. Canelo and Callum Smith, superb closing of a difficult year, blah, blah, blah. So this is the problem I have with this, bro. First of all, Callum Smith, he did win the World Boxing Super Series, credit to him. You know, he has more of a domestic type of resume, but he did win the World Boxing Super Series. I think he's a solid fighter, but his last fight, he really lost against John Ryder. This is where boxing keeps getting it wrong. But beyond that, when we're talking about David Benavidez' old belt being up for grabs now in this fight, they're making it, they're trying to, this is why people say the WBC stands for We Back Canelo, because whatever Canelo does, they seemingly are okay with it. They're like, yeah, that's a great idea, right? It's like Canelo was angry at the WBC a few years ago. I think it was the Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. fight, right around there. And the WBC, they were trying to pander and create belts for that particular fight, and Canelo wasn't having it. He's like, I don't need the belt. He won, beat Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., and he says, I'm not interested in their belt, because he felt put on the spot because he didn't fight Golovkin at the point in time, and it made him look bad. Hey, no, guys, hey, Max. You know, he didn't fight him, and they were supposed to fight. So fans reamed Canelo saying, hey, why aren't you fighting Golovkin? Gennady Golovkin is the fight we want to see. And Canelo didn't do it. So as a result, people were angry. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. We out here closing the year strong, working hard. So all in all, people were like, that's the fight we want to see. We want to see Canelo versus Golovkin, and that's not the fight we got. So Canelo looked bad in that equation, and as a result, he had this like standoff, if you will, with the WBC, and he wasn't feeling the WBC for a period of time. They've since buried the hatchet. Canelo went on to sue Oscar De La Hoya, his promoter and Golden Boy, got out of that contract, and now they're making Callum Smith and Canelo for David Benavidez's old belt. Now here is, we get to the thick of it. Before it was known about the Canelo Golden Boy Oscar DAZN lawsuit, the WBC said that Canelo had a straight shot at Avni Yildrim, who was supposed to be fighting for the belt. David Benavidez lost his belt, couldn't make weight, and I will pull up the articles. Bam! Oh my gosh. WBC orders Canelo. You guys should see it on the screen. Look. The WBC ordered Canelo Alvarez to face Avni Yildrim. Right? It says WBC orders Canelo versus Avni Yildrim fight for the vacant super middleweight fight. Right? This was August of this year, before we knew Canelo was suing Golden Boy. Right? August 18th. You guys see that? David Benavidez inability to make weight last Friday cost him his WBC belt. So they couldn't wait to give Canelo this belt, basically, right? You guys see right here, quote, the WBC Board of Governors voted 36-1 to order Canelo Alvarez an opportunity to fight for this belt, right? This is the WBC people. This is the business they're conducting, right? WBC, their committee, voted 36-1 in favor of Canelo fighting Avni Yildrim. Now all of a sudden, so keep in mind, at the time, Canelo was with DAZN. Callum Smith was a champion with DAZN. So they voted in favor of Canelo fighting directly Avni Yildrim, right? They could have said Callum Smith is up for the vacant belt, but they didn't. So you, as you guys can see, they're following Canelo's lead. Whatever he does, because of the money he represents, they're right behind it. WBC, we back Canelo. So when Canelo, his team, put in a request to fight Avni Yildrim after David Benavidez failed his drug test and then got his belt back and then couldn't make weight, David Benavidez lost his belt. Canelo's team try to scoop and fight who they thought was the #1 person, Avni Yildrim, for the vacant belt. So they didn't fight David Benavidez for the belt, but they wanted to fight Avni Yildrim. So they put in a request. As you guys see, I just showed you, the WBC voted in favor 36-1 for Canelo to make that happen. But then things happened over the course of a couple months, and we found out that Canelo was extremely upset with Golden Boy and DAZN and his career, the way it was being handled, and he sued them, got out of the contract. He still went back to DAZN for the Callum Smith fight. Now, fast forward to the future, after they said Canelo was going to fight Avni Yildrim for the belt, Canelo decides to do what he wants to do, and he goes back to DAZN for the fight that you guys will see on screen shortly. He goes back to DAZN for this, the Callum Smith fight, which is actually, to his credit, it's a better fight than the Avni Yildrim fight. But that's not the point. The point is consistency, honor, integrity. So he's fighting against Callum Smith, and then now the WBC puts this out and says, guess what? Canelo's going this direction, we going in this direction. Now this fight is for the WBC. So the point I'm getting at is the WBC continually and perpetually bends and changes the rules, especially for money-making fighters like Canelo. There is no consistent rules. If they have a certain parameters for clenbuterol and what it takes to fail with clenbuterol, the drug in your system, which is readily available in Mexico, where Canelo is from, and Canelo fails a drug test, the WBC later alters and changes the clenbuterol, the amount of clenbuterol you can have in your system, but only after Canelo fails. So it's very easy to see WBC clenbuterol levels. It's very easy to see. Look, WBC reveals new rules for banned drug clenbuterol. Canelo fails a drug test with clenbuterol. Boom. All of a sudden they changing the rules and bending the rules, and now you can have more clenbuterol in your system under their clean boxing program, so it won't be counted as a fail. Then they previously said that Canelo was going to fight Avni Yildrim because that's the direction he wanted to go. Boom, you guys see it on the screen. Canelo Yildrim, the WBC Board of Governors votes to order that fight. So they said Yildrim and Canelo was the fight to be had. 36-1 voted in favor of this fight being next. But Canelo sues his promoter, gets out of his contract, but still goes back to DAZN and fights Callum Smith. Now they switched the rules and say, hey, Canelo, we just voted 36-1. He don't have to fight Avni Yildrim. Instead, he could fight Callum Smith. It's all over the place. Now he's fighting Callum Smith for David Benavidez' old belt. And to make that more messed up for fans is the winner is going to be tied up. Fans wanted to see Canelo versus Caleb Plant, which was a rumored fight. A lot of people doubted it. I was like, man, Canelo's going to get it right and make the Caleb Plant fight. But now he's tied up because the winner of this fight, and the reason I keep saying Canelo, he hasn't won the fight yet, but he's the favorite to do so. I don't know many people who are picking Canelo to lose this fight. So if Canelo does win, he will have to face Avni Yildrim in 90 days. But the whole time David Benavidez had this belt, we didn't see Team Canelo going after the belt. Now all of a sudden, when it's vacant, he's going after the belt. Bad look for Canelo, bad look for the WBC. Canelo has done this before. Keep in mind, if you know, you know. When Demetrius Andrade had I think it was the WBO belt at 154, right? Demetrius Andrade had the WBO, right? We could pull all this up. That's the power of the internet. Stripped. He had the WBO. He was the upstanding champion. Boom, ESPN. This is a couple years ago. Keep this in mind. The WBO stripped Andrade. You see that? He got stripped of the WBO belt. This is around July 31st, 2015, right? He got stripped of his title because of inactivity. That's what this is the politics of boxing, people. Based on inactivity, they stripped him. You later had Callum Smith's brother, Liam Smith, fight for that vacant belt, right? I'm taking you through the whole course. The whole course of events. You see that? Liam Smith, Callum Smith's brother, won an 8th round TKO for the vacant WBO belt, right? And guess who Canelo fought? So the whole time Demetrius Andrade had the WBO belt and was he even called Canelo the B word, Canelo didn't fight against Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade. Even when they later were on the same roster with DAZN, Canelo never fought Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade. And it was never really in serious negotiations. But as soon as Andrade gets stripped of the WBO belt and is later won by a European fighter, the brother of Callum Smith, Liam Smith, then Canelo actually fought against Liam Smith. Canelo Alvarez, and it was at the AT&T Stadium. And they did a good crowd because of Canelo, right? So it's the same pattern with Team Canelo. Andrade's calling you out, you don't fight him, but you'll fight Callum Smith's brother, another European fighter, right? There's pictures of the actual fight in case you missed it. So you didn't fight Andrade when he had the WBO belt, but you'll fight some guy who fights for the vacant belt and wins it. Politics. Same thing here. You didn't fight when David Benavidez, who's been calling you out. I can prove all this, bro. David Benavidez has been calling Canelo out. His dad's been calling Canelo out. They respect Canelo. They said he's a great fighter, but that's what they want the fight, right? That's a great fight, especially for American fans. You have a Mexican American. Look, that's supposed to be Canelo. You see their tattoo writing on his back with the red hair? And he says, it don't matter who is in front, I'll make them bend at the knee. So this was 21 weeks ago, before Callum Smith was even known about, before Canelo was out of his contract with DAZN. Here's another call out. 35 weeks ago. Boom. You have a Mexican American, David Benavidez, who was the upstanding, young, strong, great fighter to watch, WBC champion. Why not see a Mexican fighter and a Mexican American fighter who both throw down and have great, crazy punch variation and combinations? Why not see them fight? But we have to watch Callum Smith, another European fighter for Canelo, right? And he's coming off a bad performance. David Benavidez, he did miss his weight on the scale, but he's not coming off a bad performance. Canelo's pulling the same tricks, yo. It's the same tricks. David Benavidez has been calling you out. You know, I'm showing you. It says the best fight to make. Even Terrence Crawford, the great Terrence Crawford, he did an Instagram live recently, and he said the hell of a fight to make if it happens is the fight you see on screen. Canelo and David Benavidez. Canelo said he wants the quote-unquote Mexican dates. Why not fight a Mexican-American when you're Hispanic and you're of Mexican ethnicity on the Mexican dates, instead of a guy that is unfamiliar with the U.S. public, and Callum Smith, who most fans expect you to beat. Same thing with Andrade. Andrade had the WBO. He's an American Olympian. Why not fight him in America where you're fighting and you've been fighting, but you'll fight Callum Smith's brother? It's the same script over and over and over. It's like an actor who always plays the villain and is typecast. So we see the games, and then for the WBC, they just go along with whatever Canelo decides. WBC, we back Canelo. Now they're fighting for the WBC title, but they had just told you that they voted for Canelo to fight Yildrim for the title. But seeing how Canelo went in a different direction, conveniently the WBC goes in a convenient direction. So I think I've made my case. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. The winner of this fight has to fight Yildrim, even though they voted for Canelo to go straight at Yildrim because that's what he wanted to do in August. But now that he picked someone else, now the WBC, oh, it's a great fight. This is the fight we all wanted. And he's coming off a bad performance. I mean, you let me know what it is in the comment section. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxingego, the future of boxing.